you can give a brief overview of what Quilibrium is, like what problems that you aim to solve through this project, and who is it for?
Sure. So to kind of like set the history back to the beginning of this, because this project's been in motion in part for like 8 years now. So originally, I was doing an educational series on Twitch, teaching people how to code, trying to build things at scale that like staff engineers do at like Facebook, Amazon, that. And we were basically doing things through example. And one of the examples was building a clone of Discord. Like, how do you break down Discord into its fundamental components? Like, how do you handle millions of users at scale, that kind of thing. And of course, like as this continued to grow as a project, it became more and more an actual thing. So I realized like this is something that people could potentially want, but like it needs to be differentiated from Discord itself. And me being a huge fan of crypto, I'm just like, hey, how about we actually like bring in some things that Discord can't or won't do and turn it into something unique. And so I went down the deep rabbit hole of trying to decentralize it and make it end-to-end encrypted. And if you ever have used something like Signal, for example, Signal has a cap on how many users you can have in a group. It's 1,000. And the reason is because the way they do encryption requires that each message you send is encrypted to each individual user in the group. So if you send a message to a group of 1,000 users, it's encrypting it 999 times and sending 999 messages. That's very inefficient. And the reason they do that is because the way that type of encryption works is you can only really get the security guarantees if you're basically going pairwise across each peer. And what that comes down to is there's really hard problems in the space of cryptography that make it very difficult to come up with a group encryption scheme that doesn't default to that in some way. And so I previously worked at Coinbase before I went full-time on Quilibrium. I was a senior staff engineer there, and I worked on the MPC-related projects there, in particular, the MPC wallet that was embedded into the Coinbase retail app. So that wallet feature that was there, that was partially my handiwork. And one of the things about MPC is that it basically lets you do, the definition of it, or the acronym stands for multi-party computation. And basically what that lets you do is have multiple computers work together to compute a single thing without revealing their own inputs. And so you can do things like, mutually have multiple parties sign something together with a private key that never actually exists in one place. Or in the case of what I was building, allow you to do a group encryption scheme that doesn't require having to send a message 999 times. And that's really important because that lets you scale out to, millions of people in a single group chat. And so as I was building this out, I realized each of the problems that Discord has, like how do you host images? How do you have a large backing database to scale up to potentially 1 million users in a single group? Like, for example, the Midjourney server. How do you solve those problems? And as I was breaking them down and solving them one at a time, I started to realize I'm basically rebuilding Amazon Web Services, but in a decentralized format. And so it's part of that kind of idea maze that a lot of founders go through, but ultimately, like the real pivot for me was realizing, actually, I could just do this. And this is something that people need more than another Discord clone. Like, that's great if we have one, but like what people actually want is, sovereign infrastructure that you can use for whatever your projects are without having to worry about being at the whims of either a government or, Amazon themselves, because they've deplatformed companies before. And so that's ultimately how Quilibrium came to be.